Guys, Hell's First here. So they just put out some patch notes today for what's coming in the Lands Awakening expansion coming out here next month. We're going to go over everything they've got in them, starting off with the new biome changes. Now, the new biome changes are going to be incredible. The landscape's going to be moved around a little bit, the layout's going to change, and the higher the tier you're in for a zone, so if you're in a tier 5 zone, or blue zone, or a yellow zone, you know, it's going to be one way. Once you get into a tier 6 or 7 zone, it's going to look a little bit more dense, and a little more barren, like the life in it will be. And then when you get into those tier 8 areas, it's just going to look just as evil and majestic as possible. It's truly going to let that magic come through and shine. On top of that, they're reworking the resource colors, when possible, of course. So it's to be colored to correspond to their tier level. So mainly this is going to be for fiber and wood. The mini-maps are going to be improved, so they're clearer to read. New overlays for the world map are also going to show resource availability and mob silver value approximation of the zone, and it's going to need some aggregate data to function, so it's not going to be available for the first few days after the update launches. Hideouts that are existing are going to be replaced in the new zone, since they will have a layout change. Though they will give you one single move by the owning guild for a short time after the update goes live. Next, we have new and reworked open world gameplay objectives. Now, mobs now automatically upgrade to more powerful versions over time, rewarding players and groups that seek out the unexplored areas. What this means is they're just going to evolve and become stronger. And so, most of the world, as we all know, there's a bunch of areas where no one touches these fucking things. So now we're going to have a reason to, and there's going to be little gem areas of the world. You know, there's going to be a spot that no one ever goes to, that someone's going to be like, hey, we're going to go there once every 3 or 4 days, and it's just going to be a mammoth amount of boss level mobs that drop mammoth fame and mammoth loot. Static dungeons are also going to be reworked, and the new features are follows as such. There's going to be objectives and mobs within a static dungeon that upgrade over time, so the exact same way it worked in the open world. There's a new dungeon rush mode, which is pretty sweet. So at a short notice, for a limited time, the mob spawn and upgrade rates of the particular dungeons will greatly increase. It's going to be huge for static dungeons when this goes on. They're going to have people coming in from all sides, especially when you're in a red or a black zone. It's going to be even crazier. It's communicated to all the players in that zone and in nearby zones via the map, and appears overhead after entering the dungeon for how long it's going to last. Also, there's going to be small entrances in these static dungeons for the neighboring regions. So what it's going to do is make sure you can't really pay for a scout at the static dungeon to make sure that no one else can get into them. At the same time, if another group comes in that's more powerful, you're going to be able to escape easier. And it's going to allow you to enter from multiple directions during said dungeon rush event, which is going to be awesome. The mobs in the static dungeons have also been improved and rebalanced, and now they also upgrade, as we said before. Chests and bosses in static dungeons now upgrade over time as well. Now that's going to be awesome to see the bosses completely upgrade and their chests upgrade with them. You're going to have legendary chests all over the place in static dungeons out in the black zone, I promise. Bosses are now marked on the mini-map when you're in close proximity, and the mob camps outside of static dungeons now feature veteran mobs and are included in the time-limited dungeon events. Due to these changes, though, fame buffs when killing mobs in static dungeons or camps surrounding and static dungeon entrance no longer apply, and random dungeon entrances no longer appear within static dungeons. So, I'm okay with that. Random dungeons is inside the statics kind of took out the fun of it being a static, you know? So, I'm completely fine with that. Then there's a treasure rework. Treasure system has been reworked to make them more dynamic and unpredictable sites of interest in the open world. So the treasures now spawn randomly anywhere in the open world where PvP is possible, instead of in a fixed location like they are now. treasures open at unpredictable interviews. There's a limited warning time, so it'll be like 30 minutes or an hour on top of it. The time warning and extent of visibility of the chest is determined by its value. It's only shown on the map to players in the same or nearby zone. As part of this change, treasure chests have been removed from random mob camps in the open world. I like that. Big resource nodes have been replaced with resource treasures, which also appear on the map. The occurrence of a smaller resource nodes has already been increased, and their locations and spawn rates have been increasingly randomized, which is nice instead of looking forever to get just one. The roads is usually where I find the most luck finding these in the first place. Then we've got a new weapon, folks. A whole new tree of weapons. The war gloves. This is what most of us are the most excited for. I'm excited for this, as well as the complete rework of the graphics and the biomes. That's going to be beautiful. But it's going to have 3 baseline weapons, 4 artifact line weapons, 15 new abilities, plus unique passives. And they're melee focused and offer damage, mobility, and control abilities along with limited ranged abilities. They can be crafted at the Warrior's Forge and feature their own combat and crafting masteries on the Destiny board. So I'm excited. They're going to have crafting bonuses in cities. They're going to have specializations and masteries and elite levels, which are coming, which is going to be incredible. The war gloves are crafted via new artifacts that drop in the open world or can be made at the artifact foundry. And the black hands, this is a big question that everyone had. What's going to happen to the black hands? It's been replaced with the new dagger, the Demon Fang, which is going to be great. They've reworked the guild seasons so that the Might and Favor and Conqueror's Challenge is to shift the focus away from territorial control and more towards player activity, which is pretty nice. So the Conqueror's Challenge runs for the entirety of the guild season, and it's open to all players, not only guild-affiliated players. The Conqueror's Challenge introduces 2 new reward systems, Might and Favor. Might allows progress towards a personal seasonal challenge goal, unlocks rewards such as seasonal battle mounts, fame boosts, and new seasonable collectible avatars. Can be earned by performing various activities which carry a risk of PvP, including PvP in the Outlands, or the Roads of Avalon, opening treasure chests, killing siphoning mages, crystal spiders, playing Hellgates, Crystal League, winning corrupted dungeons, capturing territory energy crystals, and then the favor you can get earned in most cases where might is earned. And this is a spendable currency which can be used to purchase siphoned energy and additional reward chests. Guild affiliated players' activities will additionally contribute to their guild's might level. Each guild might level completed awards season points. In this way, all players in the guild can contribute while earning might and favor for themselves. When a guild reaches a new season bracket, members are in turn rewarded with a significant amount of might and any additional bonus to any might earned during this rest of the season. Alongside these changes to guild seasons, the season overview has been updated to show the current rank, how season points are earned, which guild members have contributed to the might, or the most might, which guild members have earned the most season points via the Crystal League. The season overview no longer shows season rewards since these are now also individual. Also changing for Season 14, killing siphoning mages, crystal spiders, and etc. no longer directly give season points. Territory levels rebalanced, now based on energy gained via energy crystals and Crystal League. Castles, castle outposts, and guild challenge no longer grant siphoned energy. And Crystal League rewards rebalanced. Season rewards now based on Conqueror's Challenge. Now the headquarters hideouts. Based on their performance in the previous season, guilds can declare one hideout a headquarters during a currently running guild season. They must earn a number of season points and rank among the top X amount of guilds of the season. Declaring a headquarters in a higher quality zone in the Outlands requires increased season point totals in the previous season, and HQ hideouts are invulnerable during construction phase 3. Completed HQ hideouts are invulnerable during the zone's combat time, as long as no defense points are missing and sufficient power is maintained via captured power cores. HQ hideouts are currently not able to be declared in the Roads of Avalon, but this will be assessed ongoingly as a future option. Power cores and energy crystals. Now, this is how these work. Guilds can now boost their hideouts by capturing hideout power cores and their territories by capturing territory energy crystals. Capturing territory energy crystals also provides might. These spawn in the open world at power anomalies and energy vortices, respectively. I'm excited for these to enter the game, guys. After picking up a core crystal, a player cannot mount up, cannot enter certain zones, roads of Avalon, cities, etc., without dropping the item. The high value of these items and the fact that they are dropped when a player is knocked down or killed encourages capture the flag style gameplay in the Outlands. Hideout power levels, in addition to maintaining headquarters status as a single headquarters hideout, power cores granted crafting bonuses and a fame buff in the hideout and surrounding zone. That's fucking awesome. Territory energy levels can now also be boosted by capturing energy crystals, as well as via the already existing system of winning Crystal League matches entered via the territory. Then we have elite levels. This is going to change a ton. 20 additional elite combat specialization levels have been added for each weapon. They are unlocked by spending fame credits and silver. Elite metal icons appear on the affected equipment items, and new frames appear on the Destiny board. Medals are visible in inventory, dual requests, party invites, loadout creation, inspection. Elite levels give the same item power increase as the normal levels. So now you're going to get things up to 120. And I'm assuming that if 80 to 100 is the same as 1 to 80, that 100 to 120 is going to be the same as 1 to 100. That's just what I'm thinking. Now, there's a change to the usage fee and the crafting. Usage fees are now directly derived from the nutrition and item consumes from the workstation. The fee is set in the game UI to be calculated per 100 nutrition consumed. New menu accessible from the price screen gives a detailed overview of all calculations that lead to the crafting price. Crafting improvements and fixes. Increased item value of Tier 2, 4.2, and 4.3 raw resources, leading to a clearer progression in the item value of refined resources for each tier of enchantment. Fixed an issue where the crafting price of items that are created in batches by default, like meat or non-fish foods, would only be equal to one item instead of the whole batch. Fixed an issue where an Avalonian offhand artifacts were treated as level 3 artifacts, should have been level 4, roughly doubling their item value. Made the item value progression of artifacts more uniform. Fixed the way consumable values were calculated. As with nutrition, focus is now derived from the nutrition of ingredients of a consumed item. Nutrition consumed by building was previously added to consumable items when focus costs were calculated, meaning focus costs were too high. Fish sauce is now considered in focus cost prices, which previously ignored in focus calculation even though it could be returned by using focus. Fixed an issue where the intermediate ingredients, meat, flour, butter, bread, alcohol, had the nutrition they consume added twice to their final nutrition. Cape Crest now treated as level 1 rune artifacts and have an appropriate corresponding item value. Nutrition and item value stats are now shown in the same place for all relevant items over the estimated market value. Mount focus costs updated and rebalanced, and fixed an issue where studying multiple stacks of the same item was more expensive than studying the same amount of items in one stack. Then, couple quality of life improvements, some UI improvements. Buyable loadouts. Loadouts can now be purchased via the marketplace. A special tab allows players to purchase loadouts and gives data about the relative cost and availability. You can also re-roll items. Players can now stack up to 999 items in a re-roll menu, max 4 stacks, which may include different item types. Player can set their goal quality. All of the items exceeding this quality will be put back into the inventory. Players can now see the re-roll probabilities for the items they have added, and the cost and chance of balancing. Chance of success and cost now both scale with the item's starting quality. Chance of success drastically increased, and rerolling costs increased accordingly. Party improvements. There's a new /join command. Invite and /join can now be used to merge whole parties, which that's fucking cool. New interface allows inspecting of gear, item power of potential party members. Improved party-related notifications. Added /snooze command to auto-ignore party invites, either ongoingly or for a chosen duration. Added option to use /invite/join/kick without typing character name for already selected targets. And added cooldowns for /join/invite requests to avoid abuse. Then we have farming usability. You can shift click to harvest, shift click to nurture, shift click to pick up, shift click to feed. Take all option can now be toggled on or off. Gathering changes. Increased fame for enchanted resource gathering. Fame for enchanted level 2 raw resources plus 33%. For level 3s plus 100%. And for enchanted tier 4 refined resources to account for absence of enchanted tier 3 resources goes to from 37.5 to 45, from 52.5 to 90, and from 67.5 to 180. Now we have some changes to the corrupted dungeons. As the Lands Awakened update is intended to return focus to the open world, outlying instance content has had a reduction in overall rewards. The bonus from infamy to corrupted dungeon loot and fame has been reworked. This cap is to the cap to this bonus is now plus 50%, which brings the infamy scaling more in line with that of Hellgates. This intent of this change is primarily to bring down the high value potential of the highest end, while still preserving the base rewards to keep entry-level values the same. Then they're going to update the soundtrack and the audio, and the real estate plots added to rests. So real estate plots that allow players to build crafting and refining stations have been added to rests instead of just towns. So these are the Outlands towns. They can be purchased by players through the land auction system. Accordingly, these towns now have crafting and refining bonuses as follows. Base refining bonus is 15%, base crafting bonus is 18%, specialized age crafting bonus is 15%, additional weapon armature crafting bonuses. Additionally, the starting silver prices for real estate plots have been increased to better reflect their actual values. These prices will apply starting with the new Outlands rest plots, and will also be applied to any new plots added to other cities in the future, which is pretty awesome. Got some new achievements, which you can read onto those if you like. New spell icons coming out for a couple of the things. A couple mobile changes and fixes some of you might be interested in. In-game chat now has a maximized mode triggered upon entering text, which can be displayed in the chat options, or disabled in the chat options. Added an option to lock the virtual joystick in place instead of centering where first touched. Drop-down UI elements in the mobile version have been replaced with more responsive selection element, are now easier to use. Marketplace filter elements increased in size for better readability, and fast travel destination selection improved for the use with mobile keyboards. Then we've got some more changes. New type of artifact source has been added to the Conqueror's Challenge chest. We've got Satchels of Insight now give more bonus fame and require less silver per fame. That's fucking huge. So the tier 8.3 bonus fame was 63.887%. Now it's 88.246%. And that silver was dropped to 1.13 per fame from 1.24. If you have an 8.3 masterpiece, it's 100% more fame, which is sick. Hideout changes. Energy manipulators now appear in level 2 hideouts. Visiting a hideout set as home gives a 1 hour fame bonus. Hideout base refining bonus goes down 0.3 or 0.03. Remove specialization refining bonus for hideouts. Hideout base crafting bonus was changed. Bunch of stuff in the hideouts was changed for that. Not many of us are going to be using too much of that to begin with. Then we've got dungeon maps may now open in the zones with higher tiers than the map. So that's pretty sweet. So tier 4 maps are in tier 4 zones only, tier 5 maps and tier 5 zones only. Now T6 maps can open up in a tier 7 zone. And a tier 7 map is a tier 7 zone only. Then out in the Outlands, Tier 5 maps can go into Tier 5 or Tier 8 zone. Tier 6 maps can go Tier 6 to Tier 8. Tier 7 maps, Tier 7 to Tier 8. So it's going to help you have closer to you areas, or maybe it's so it can spread it out farther apart. Skipping overcrowded zones on the Royal Continent no longer requires a minimum active time, meaning players can skip overcrowded zones immediately after the queue is activated. That's nice. The journal's been changed, adjusted fame requirements for Tier 7 to Tier 8 crafting journals, so there is no excess fame after filing at least the 4th journal. A lot of people are pissed about this. Adjusted the base returns of Tier 7 and Tier 8 crafting journals so the resources per fame stay constant considering the change above. Triple the fame required to fill crafting laborers' journals. That's... Who's even going to use that anymore? Treasure fishing spots on the roads now use a loot configuration of the Outlands. Then we've got adjusted some weight and durability values for special mounts to bring them more in line with riding horses. You can look through the patch notes to see those weights if those are something you care about. Mounting and dismounting now have their own tooltips. Flagging for faction now grants a small bonus to PvE fame, which it already gave you a little one. Gives you a little more, that's nice. Hellgate layout changes. Northern Star choke points for central platform in the hill are now the same width as the southern. Central bridge in the traverse now has an additional loop. And final platform in the tribunal now accessible from 4 sides with wider stairs. I like that. Forest castles. The 2 small moats between the gates have been removed to make the layout more in line with the castles in other biomes. Then we've got combat balance changes. This is huge. The recent changes to bows allow better counter play for enemies. However, the buff duration was made slightly too short, making it easier to keep bow players in check and denying them burst damage from enchanted quiver. For this duration, the buff duration has been extended. So now the attack buff duration is 3.5 seconds. Then we've got daggers. With the introduction of War Gloves, Black Hands has been reworked into the dagger line. Black Hands previously felt somewhat out of place in that weapon tree, so a new dagger has been added to better suit. And it is the Demon Fang. Devastating Strike E-Slot has been removed. Demon Fang E-Slot Blood Ritual has been put in, which is infuse your blade with blood magic and swing it in front of you, dealing 150 magical damage to all enemies hit. Deals 60 physical damage over 2 seconds to yourself. Self-damage stacks up to 3 times. The ability can be recast again within 1.5 seconds up to a maximum of 3 times. Each recast increases the cooldown by 5 seconds. So the cooldown will eventually be reduced by 20 seconds. Quarterstaffs. This update improves the general feel of auto attack for them. Attack animations have been overhauled to make them more dynamic with a faster average hit interval. Damage per second and time for the passives to activate remain unchanged. Additionally, the range of auto attacks and some target abilities have been increased to emphasize the range of the weapon. These changes are apparently intended to make the weapon more enjoyable to use. However, since Grailseeker was already very strong in a range of content types and will benefit from this range increase, the duration of its wall and root effects has been reduced. So the auto attack's range is 4 meters now instead of 3. The speed is 0.5 seconds instead of every second, and the damage per hit is halved because of that. New auto attack animations and timings for blunt quarterstaffs. So there's a 3-hit combo with varied attack speed and damage for quarterstaffs, ironclad staffs, staff balance, and Grailseeker, and the new attack animations timing for bladed quarterstaffs. Constant quick 2-hit attacks, double bladed staff, black monk staff, and soul scythe. Concussive Blow's range has been put to 4 meters from 3. Empowering Slam is also to 4 meters. Soul Shaker for the Grailseeker. The wall duration has been dropped from 4 seconds to 3.5 seconds. The root duration from 3.5 seconds to 3 seconds. Stunning Strikes, the number of auto attacks needed instead of 5 is now 10. And Energetic is 0.62 per hit because it's faster. And Dread-Laden Fighting, number of auto attacks needed is now 8. Now into the armors. Mercenary Jacket has synergized extremely well with dot weapons, but less with other weapon lines. To change this, max healing now requires fewer hits. Max healing output will remain almost the same. However, dots now no longer triggering the healing effect, opening up the ability to work with more weapon combinations. Additionally, the buff duration has been reduced, so countering it by denying the damage is a more effective option against it. So, Bloodlust now only heals on direct damage. Dots don't trigger it, which is horseshit. Max amount of heals is now 9 instead of 15, and heal per hit is 42 instead of 26. So, I mean, you're still going to be able to do some work with it. The buff only lasts 6 seconds now. Now, Howl on the helmets has been overhauled to feel more up to date with no stand time and better application of its debuff. Additionally, it can now be used as a ranged interrupt, so it can also be used on leather helmets as an additional utility spell to swap to. A small cast time has been added to Flash of Insight to allow better counterplay against builds that use double Mercenary Jacket. This also adds another layer of decision making about when to use this ability, rather than simply being used every time after an armor ability to prevent interrupts from being completely devastating. Cooldown when a cast is interrupted is halved. So Howl standalone time is 0 seconds now instead of 0.6 seconds. Now also interrupts enemy spellcasting. It's 12-meter range instead of 10. Attack speed reductions from 15% went up to 40%. And then the duration of that dropped from 8 seconds to 5 seconds. Slow strength went from 30% to 35%. And slow duration went from 8 seconds to 5 seconds. Flash of Insight for the Spectre Hood added a 0.5 second cast time. So a hit delay of 0.4 seconds to 0 seconds. Interrupting the cast will cause the ability to go on cooldown for 30 seconds. Royal Shoes. The Royal March has continued to dominate the shoe meta in corrupted dungeons. The general playstyle of this item was well suited to these, and it is better chasing than escaping. However, it is not desirable for this completely outshine every other shoe in this content, and so limit build varieties. Therefore, its strong chase potential has been maintained while its additional defense buff has been removed, meaning the item is specialized only as a strong chase ability and offers no extra value in combat itself. That ruins Royal Boots. So if you were a Royal Boot user, you are pissed right now. Mount changes, guys. To encourage players to explore the open world more effectively and actively fight roaming mobs, dismounting rules have been changed. If a player dismounts and there is no enemy player within 40-meter range, the player can instantly use their weapon abilities. QWE. However, the other ability slots will retain their 5-second cooldown. That's pretty fucking cool. Fixes. The Destiny board, complete information on gathering speed, gathering yield, and item power bonuses now appears for gathering gear as intended. Fixed an issue where it was possible to heal other players without going into combat mode. Spell a mob fixes. Fixed a bug where the silence icon debuff for Sacred Ground was displayed too long on mobs. Fixed an issue where Spiritual Deed from the Druidic Splash displayed an incorrect cooldown. Avalonian Knight Captain is now immune to force movement effects as intended. Fixed a bug where the Avalonian Archmage would sometimes have overlapping aggro phases after being engaged a second time. An Avalonian High Priestess fixed an issue where summoned mobs would die after pursuing targets rather than retargeting. Cartwheeled, the quarterstaffs no longer ignore CC resistance on mobs. Sending home in a high note and fast traveling via travel planner to a city, then using the realm gate there now leaves home binded, intact as intended. Fixed an issue where character names were not clickable in the chat context menu. Fixed an issue where the player's stats UI would break after deleting text in the personal message field. Hideouts, guild logos now appear on the elevator platform, and Expedition Master appears on minimap as intended. Fixed an issue where first gathering level for all tiers awarded the gathering yield buff twice instead of awarding the gathering speed buff, and numerous additional graphical terrain, audio, animation, and localization fixes. This has been the patch notes that we have for the Lands Awakening expansion update coming up here soon. I cannot be more excited for this, guys. It's going to be a big, big change to the game, and I, for one, embrace it, and hope you guys do too. So if you guys enjoyed my content, like listen to me say all this, the fuck ups I said here and there with my because my shit's rolling over itself because it's late, please drop a subscribe, tune into the channel more often, and say what's up. As always, I'm Hell's First. And until next time, ta-ta.